Hi, I am Dory Chattel. I'm Executive Director of the nonprofit Medical Education Institute, which built and maintains the Home Dialysis Central website and our Facebook group. Our sponsor for this webinar is Fresenius Medical Care. Thank you very much. And we are glad to be here to talk about one of our favorite topics, travel. And this topic gives us a chance to talk about how home therapies can give you back flexibility to live a fuller life. And we have experts with us today. We have Vanessa, and then we have Michael and Christina Gilchrist, who have traveled, and Christina's done both PD and nocturnal home hemo. And then if she joins us, Rashonda Turner. And I think she has also done PD and home hemo, if I recall.
She has,
Didn't
yes.
she do PD first? I thought she did.
Pretty sure, pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah. So we'll just jump right in. And my first question, and I'll ask each of you this, is, um, but we'll start with Vanessa because I know her time is limited. What was
Yep.
your first trip that you took on dialysis and how did it go?
So I remember this well because, of course, there were issues just being my first time traveling. For those of you that may or may not know who I am, Vanessa, I've been on dialysis actually 29 years. So 8 of those years were in center, and then the other, you know, 21 now have been doing home hemo. I did my first trip many, many, many years ago. I live in the Boston area, and every summer we would go to Cape Cod. And so this was a trip that I could actually just put the machine in the car and travel. And so we did that.
But you had two boys and suitcases and the machines and
That is
supplies. How
true.
big
That
was
is
your
true.
car?
We used to have like a hitch. It was a pretty big, yeah.
Uh,
I actually even sometimes we'd bring two cars, but point of the story is a couple of things. So, number one, it was a rented house, and I was able to get my supplies to come, when we were there. But I do have like something to think about because a lot of times, you ask your supplies to arrive on XYZ date. Usually, when I travel, I like to have the supplies arrive before I do. You cannot do that if you are renting a place or you are
right.
at an Airbnb. So just something to think about, right? Because I think one time we always rented the same house, and I feel like one year, I know you asked me the first time, but just to give a little tidbit, one time, I think the supplies arrived before we did, like 2 days, which in any other hotel or friend situation would be fine. But, the people that were at the house were like, what are these like 20 boxes about? Right.
Right.
So just something to think about. Anyway, when I went on my first trip, I thought I had everything. Um, and I really thought I had everything, but what I didn't have was actually my saline. And the reason being is because saline comes from your provider, right? Just like your other supplies, in my case it's needle, gauze, mask, gloves, etc., right? Saline comes from them. Um and in my head, I don't know if I was thinking that like Next Stage slash Fresenius was sending it or what, or I literally just forgot. I probably just literally forgot. But so you can't do a treatment without saline. And so that was kind of a big deal. And so what ended up happening is I had probably one of the most amazing nurses, and we met actually halfway. She drove halfway, and we drove halfway to pick up some saline. So then it was fine, and I had a great trip. So what did I learn? A checklist is very, very important. I still use
Big,
a
big
checklist
fan.
to this day, and I've been traveling now for 21 years. Especially the things that you may or may not use all the time. Obviously, saline you use all the time, but like for bags, you might use the Pure Flow and you don't use the warmer, right? So, like, do you have enough warmer lines? Do you have enough drain lines? Kind of the things that you might not use every day. So that would be one. And then if you're going to an Airbnb, you want to try to make it come. I mean, it might almost be better to take one day of supplies with you and then have it, come, because you don't want like 20 boxes delivered when you're actually not even there. And so I'm not a big fan of doing rentals or Airbnbs because of that, but other people do. So, you have to do what's right for you.
Okay. Let's ask Christina that same question. What was your first trip? Was that maybe on PD because you started on PD? And how did it go?
My first trip was on PD, and we decided to we were just going to go see Michael's sister. She's in Arizona, so just a state away. And we wanted to make it really as simple as possible. So we actually flew out of one of our small airports, and it was really cool because my PD is a carry-on. And so I didn't even have to trust them to take care of it. I literally took it with me. We put it in the bin above us, and it was right by us the whole time. And I
Right.
did learn, though, we have had multiple times, like Vanessa, where things were forgot. Our checklist is something we use all the time now. We triple check every time we travel. But we have forgot stuff, and we actually went on our honeymoon. I was on PD when we got married, and we went on our honeymoon, and we forgot drain lines because we weren't even thinking about. We were like, oh, those go with the pure flow, you know. And so we didn't bring them. And we learned very quickly if you call the centers around you and talk to them, sometimes they'll just tell you, come on over, we've got a couple for you. But the biggest thing is don't think you're alone. There are hospitals everywhere. Go into there and talk to them if you forget these things. If not, call Bersinius and say, hey, what center am I by? Call your provider, and they definitely will help.
I'll
Hey,
also
Dory,
say that our
go
first
ahead.
trip that we took,
Hmm.
we had supplies delivered to 4 different hotels.
Wow.
So depending on what time we were staying, and then we had the last supplies actually delivered to my sister's house. We even had supplies delivered to a questionable hotel that we decided not to stay at, and we took other supplies to another area.
Oh my
So that was our
gosh.
first trip.
Yeah, if they're charging hourly, you
I was
probably
gonna
don't
say,
want to
I
stay
bet they would
there.
charge an hourly rate to watch the supplies. And like, I want to take them up on that sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, Dory, can I just add two things? And I think we even have a question in the chat. So number one, Christina, thanks for sharing. Every PD machine is different. Some can be checked in, and I'm speaking specifically about PD. Some may be checked in over your seat, right? Others actually might need to be checked in like regular luggage. So obviously you'd have to check with your team to know exactly what you need to do. So just kind of a little bit of a disclaimer there. And then for HHD, Next Stage is the only portable one at this point. And that one does need to be checked in like regular luggage, and it should be checked in a hard case, not the soft case. And you can,
Absolutely.
yeah, and you can ask your clinic to borrow one if you're able to, but you also can purchase. It's not inexpensive, but it might be worth it if you're someone that travels a lot.
Oh,
Something about checking your luggage. Me and Mike, we give ourselves 3 hours. We literally get to the airport with 3 hours until we get on the plane because we want to make sure we give them plenty of time to make sure that machine gets processed and gets in the plane. And most of the times, we actually go through and we sit and watch the plane and we get to see the machine loaded. So that right there is comfort for
that
me.
eases, yeah, that eases your mind, I'm sure.
Yep.
So, are there any, besides the checklist, do you bring along, say, the language from the FCC about the right to bring life-saving medical equipment for free? Because I know that um, not every single airport staff person is aware of that particular rule.
Mhm. Yeah, we printed it out and we laminated it. And
Oh,
so
awesome.
we take it with us everywhere we go, just in case. And honestly, guys, we have not had to use it in
Good.
at least a couple years. These airports, the coolest thing is we are traveling. We're getting these airports used to us, and they're starting to kind of recognize, oh, that's a dialysis machine.
That's
So
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I saw your setup online a couple days ago with the Pelican cases, and I was very impressed with your suitcase
I'll
style.
Oh,
also
thank you.
say that on the Fresenius website, there is a huge amount of information about traveling, and we actually got the information from the Fresenius website. And it's really cool because it actually breaks it down on questions. Typically ask questions of, hey, can this be charged or can this be checked? And, and it's really cool because I can actually go, no, that states that we can do this. And you're
Mhm.
always going to get that person that has no idea what you're talking about. So that paperwork comes in handy. We also laminate a doctor's note because they're gonna, sometimes they ask why you need this. They shouldn't, but they do. And we
Just for
used to be
funsies.
really, yeah, we used to be really funny about what to check and what not to. Heck with that, check it all because I don't want to deal with it. They can deal with it, and we just sit back, get our feet up, get some coffee, and wait to pull the line.
100% agree, Mike.
Oh,
100%
Do
agree.
do y'all bring extra money to tip folks who help put things on carts at the airport?
one thing I do is, and honestly, in the beginning, I really didn't want to do it, but I ask for wheelchair access at every airport now. Because the
Yes.
thing is, when I'm traveling, I don't want to walk across the airport and have that be my experience. I want to be able to walk when I get where I'm going.
Right.
So put that pride aside, because mine was all pride. Put that pride aside, let them know you're in kidney failure, and let them push you because these airports are huge.
They are. They can be miles
Save
long.
spoons
And
where you can save
yes, you
your spoons.
you
Yep.
only get so many spoons a day, and why waste them on marching across an airport?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I will say that when we do go, I get a bunch of fives because they're all going to be those random people that do help you, and you always want to be able to, compensate those that help you. So yeah,
Exactly.
I always have
But
just a handful of ones, but
but Mike's cheap. I've heard that Don Edwards carries 20s.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is true though. You do need to bring some, some spare money. I don't know if it's really spare, but you do want to tip people along the way. They help you, and then in turn that helps you, right?
Hmm.
I use the carts at the airport, so they have those little, carts. I think they're worth, $4, $5. I feel like now they're $8. Um, but I usually, if I'm traveling, will run in, grab a cart, and I put everything on that cart. And I check everything in. It is hard now to find, there are not as many like porters and people that would help you as they used to be. Which is why I do think like what Christina said in terms of getting a wheelchair is good because then you have somebody there and they all have those walkie talkies.
Hmm.
So then they can call people. And honestly, even if you see your things go round and round, like just be calm. Know that eventually someone's going to help you, and you're going to do it. I think that is important.
That's probably one of the number one things we figured out is don't overstress everything. You can leave that just spinning. There's always going to be an employee that comes over and checks that and makes sure it's empty. When they come over, they really can help you. So don't initially go to, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do this because you will be able to do it and someone will be there to help you.
All right. Now I would love to know what has your favorite trip been and why?
I don't know that I have like a favorite because every trip is just so unique and different. I've done some traveling outside of the country,
Hmm.
which I would say don't do that first. If you're just traveling as a patient, I've done things that I've, kind of paid for supplies to be shipped, and that's only when you're traveling outside of the country. I've also done things where I've taken all my supplies on the plane when I've gone to like Mexico or the Dominican Republic. And that takes a lot of organization to do. I think I'll keep it to in the United States right now, most recently, my latest trip is we went to Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, with some friends celebrating my husband's birthday. I'd never gone to a rodeo before. That was really fun.
I don't think I have
Um,
either.
the weather was beautiful. You know, everything showed up well. It's kind of a well-oiled machine, which is great. I think the key definitely is for hotel travel, have your stuff arrive, like I said, before you arrive. Call the hotel and make sure that everything is there. Okay.
Do you
Um,
have them send you a photo?
I
We do.
do. Yes,
Yep.
I have them send me a photo. I have them, confirm everything. So, because a photo is important, because they could be like, oh, you have 7 boxes, and it could be all, I don't know, like waistlines or
Right,
something,
right.
right? So,
Uh,
you just want to be sure. Boxes actually look a little more alike now. So, you want them to take pictures really of like the sticker that's
mhm.
on the box. Hotels are harder to get a hold of, like their main line. So, have it arrived 3 days before. Some hotels will try to charge you for holding your supplies. And the truth is, they're allowed to. They are not under the DOT. But if you talk to them and you explain their life saving medical supplies and you show them your note, I really have not had a hotel has ever charged me.
I
Um,
had one. I
oh,
had
good.
one, and it was in Vegas. And so it may be just a practice in Vegas because there's
Well,
so many
charge
people
for
that come and
everything.
go. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
Yep.
possible.
And
So,
they wanted like $25 per box, and we had something like
Ooh,
14 boxes.
yeah, that's a significant investment.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
But they ended up working with us because, like Vanessa said, Mike and I went down and talked to him. We told him the situation. So I think we got it for like $5 a box. So they ended up working with us really well.
That's much
What would
better.
you say your favorite trip was, Christina?
Uh, okay, so two come to mind. Well, one, my very first time we went to Lobby in Washington, D.C., I
Oh,
just
cool.
thought that experience was so beautiful. Washington, D.C. is just so nostalgic and just, it's such a wonderful place just to walk around and look at things. It's beautiful. So I would have to say D.C. is one of mine. But then also, I got to throw out a Boston because we literally just got back from Boston yesterday.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yep, we flew in last night and we got to go and walk around Harvard and it we were at Cambridge and Cambridge is just so beautiful. And walking around that city, it's like you're in like a pretend city. It's beautiful. And just stuff like that. And honestly, we got there on time, we left on time.
And I'll say one of our most memorable trips was to Puerto Rico. We actually had to take all of our supplies with us, like Vanessa said. So we ended up checking, I think, 24 packages altogether with the luggage and everything. And it was a pain, but we made sure there was plenty of time.
It was a
And
pain,
then
but it was a pain, but really, what patient gets to go to Puerto Rico, you know? Like, it was worth
yeah,
it.
and then, like Christina was saying, this last trip, there's always usually something that happens. And this last trip was so easy for us. There were no problems. Everything just kind of lined out perfect. We like Christina said, we showed up with plenty of time for the airport. We always plan on doing a meal at the airport because we
Hmm.
just would rather put our feet up and relax than stress out. And that's kind of what we made sure on this one is we got there with plenty of time, and we had a couple of delays and stuff like that. But this one, when we got back on the drive home, we were like, this was probably one of the easiest, best trips, and it's because there's a learning curve with all of them. We always learn an important lesson from the last trip, and like Vanessa was saying, the checklist. I am a huge, huge advocate on the checklist, and check it 3 times because you don't
Yep.
want to forget anything. And on your way back, make sure you're checking that checklist because nothing's worse than knowing that you left something underneath the hotel bed or something like that. So
Yep. Jen, I know you had some tips and tricks that you would share with your patient, and one that really stuck with me was this, maybe make your first trip in your own town. Do
Yep,
you
the
want to share
staycation trip.
some of those?
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Jen Ravert. I was a home dialysis training nurse before I came to work with Home Dialysis Central and MEI. I always used to recommend to people who had not traveled before, but who wanted to, or new patients, to try doing something local. You can go to your neighbor's house, you could go to a hotel in the next town over, just to get the feel of what you are actually going to need, what you're going to forget, and kind of give yourself the confidence that you've done it before. So I would send people to go do a little trip local. I live in very close to two tourist areas. I'm in upstate New York, so we have Lake George to the north and Saratoga Springs to the south. So both of those are areas where we have a lot of patients coming through during tourist season. So I mean, I've also had to do the box of saline on the side of the road, switch with a patient. It's a thing. So yeah, I used to send people up to the local hotels, and they got to do a little local sightseeing.
What sorts of things went astray or wrong in those little local trips that help people course correct?
We had one time where we forgot our power cord.
Oops.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's a
Yep.
bad one.
And we were very lucky because that was one where we stayed within an hour or two, and we were able to just be like, okay, we'll just cut this short tomorrow, we'll go home, and so yeah, do those local ones. They really help you. And even have your supplies delivered to the hotel, and
Ah,
call them before you leave, get that picture, make sure you know they're there before you go.
Yes.
Yes.
It is a true mini trip. But it really does take the first time. I once had a patient forget the harness for the
Yep.
warmer. And all
Yep.
of the next stage patients just said, oh,
Yep.
because all of that fluid can drain into that one bag, and then you could have a giant 25-30 liter mess on your hands. And that is not a thing you want to do in a hotel. So yeah, make sure that piece is attached.
You become very creative, I have to say.
Yes,
I was gonna
yes.
say not unless
You
you're
Straps,
dialyzing
duct
a
you
tape.
bathtub.
yeah, tape, you become like the MacGyver. So there are a couple of things that I always make sure I travel with, and I actually just kind of leave them in my bag, but it's on my checklist. And those things are scissors, a
Mhm.
screwdriver, and pliers. And Mike might have other things that he wants to
Duct
add.
tape?
I don't have duct tape, but usually
How can you
scissors.
MacGyver without duct tape?
I know I should. But the truth is, like, I'm never going to the middle of, like, the jungle. And
Borneo.
so
Yeah.
I can drive to get things. I will say the other thing that I always try to do is the first thing I do when I arrive, even if I'm not going to treat that day, or whatever, is I set up the machine and I make sure everything is like good and ready. But I would say scissors, pliers, screwdriver. Mike, do you have anything to add? Because I know you're good with this
Um,
stuff.
yeah, I have really bad OCD when it comes to this stuff, and so it comes in really handy.
It does.
Um, and I always have blankets because hotels are notorious for being cold, and I can use those blankets to wrap up stuff that we use for traveling.
Okay.
Like Vanessa was saying, I have a Gerber pair of pliers, scissors, all that stuff because it really sucks when you're traveling to somewhere and for some reason Christina she-hulked one of the connections together. And there's that. Also, we make a thing called burritos. If you don't know what those are, definitely
Yes.
check out our page because we have everything all in one spot. And so I always make sure that we have those. And you always plan on the what ifs. So if we're doing 2 treatments, we always plan on 3 because
Hmm.
I never know if Christina is going to want to go to the casino and do a little bit of drinking, which she definitely can. And if we need to take that fluid off, cool, we can. If not, then it's not a problem. But I
Yeah.
also have a container that has all of my supplies for the what if. It has everything that's in my burrito in my little case. So if it's kind of hard to explain everything that all shortcuts that we do. So we do have a bunch of videos of how I pack, and nobody's better at Tetris than me because I put everything in the case in a certain way. But yeah, always just, and then also the things that you don't need to use at treatment at that time, pack in your case. Have it all ready and available. That way, when you're pulling out your case, all you have to do is put the things that are connected to the machine. So
Also, we do a thing where we say we make soft plans, especially when we travel, because we will pick one event that we for sure are going to do, and if the rest of the time I don't feel good and we stay in the hotel, we're happy. We pick one big thing and that's it. Otherwise, make soft plans.
I
I
think
like
that's
the
great.
idea of
And
soft plans.
yeah, so I just want to add to what Mike said. So the other thing that I also always bring is an extension cord.
Good
Um,
idea. A
and
heavy duty one or a regular in-house
it's
one?
kind of regular, not heavy duty necessarily. You should not plug in your machine to an extension cord. It should be
Right.
directly into the wall. But I use the extension cord more because I'm plugging. I might have, and again, speak with your care team. But like if you like, I also bring a heating pad. I'm cold. I want to plug in my phone. If you're
Mm-hmm.
traveling with an iPad for your flow sheets, etc. There's a lot of things that we need, and the hotel sometimes doesn't have a lot of plugs, space. So I always make sure to have that. I think that's important. What Mike is talking about, the burrito thing, is brilliant. He taught me that, which is you use your blue chucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the blue chucks, you're putting in all your supplies. So we're HHD patients now. So we might have different supplies, but for me, it would be like needle, gauze, band-aids, mask, whatever, and anything that you need for one treatment, you roll it up and then
Mm-hmm.
you have everything in one. But I also, like Mike said, I plan extra because like, what if like God forbid I infiltrate or I want to do an extra treatment or your flight is canceled, people.
Right.
Whatever it is these days, you need to be ready for everything. So I think it's important to have those extra treatment supplies to kind of prepare. And Christina, I also just thought we would ask you, PD wise, like, what do you need and how did you prepare? Because you did PD and traveled as well. Is there anything that you think is different than what we've talked about? Just wondering.
No, I would say the same things apply. And of course, PD is going to be a little easier. And that's just because the machine is lighter. And so anybody can throw those machines around, where it is heavier for the current machine. But with help, it's a two-person lift. And there are so many people at the airport that can easily help if you don't have a mic that just throws the whole thing up there.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll also say that we do nocturnal. So we actually have a few extra things that we have to take with us, a heparin pump, a lead sense. There's a couple different things that we do. But, like Vanessa was saying, the burritos, we learned that with PD. Our PD nurse actually taught us that, and it was absolutely amazing. So no matter what treatment you do, roll that thing up because everything's right there. Always bring a little bit extra, but simplify it.
And I
There is
even
absolutely no reason why this has to be really difficult because there are shortcuts that you can take.
Those burritos, though, you don't just use those on travel. Use those for every day.
Right.
If you get home late and you got dialysis, you've got all your stuff ready to just
Yep.
hook up and go.
Yep. We do suggest that to folks. So I interesting question, I think, between doing nocturnal home hemo and traveling and doing daily treatments and traveling. So Vanessa, you're doing the daily, and Mike and Christina, y'all are doing the nocturnal. As far as time available on a trip, how does that affect you?
Probably different for me than it is for Christina and Mike because they're
Right.
doing it at night while they sleep.
Yeah.
I find that when I travel, I do change my schedule a little bit. I usually dialyze because I work full time, right? So I usually dialyze getting on the machines. I like to get on around 6, not always, but I usually get on around 6, and then I kind of eat dinner on the machine and I watch TV. It's easy in Boston when the weather is cold, right? It's great dialysis weather. But when I'm traveling, I kind of want to have my day.
Right.
So I do the opposite where I try to wake up a little earlier, get on the machine and be done by noon to have the whole rest
The
of the
whole rest of
day,
the day.
evening, night to
Right.
go out and do things. That's what works for me. But again, I love the fact that I can think about like, what are we doing today?
Mm-hmm.
What is the schedule? When am I going to get on? Does it make sense? But I do find that like 90% of the time, I like to switch it and do it more in the morning. It probably Christina and Mike, it might be different because they dialyze in the evening. And then Jen, maybe you can talk a little bit about PD as well. Yeah.
I will say that a little bit of piece of advice when you are going to travel. I don't know if this is the same way. But I will dialyze Christina pretty much almost up to the second when we're going to leave to the airport. That way, I have maximum amount of time of God forbid if there's a delay or we get stuck at one of different layover where it gets extended, and there's occasional time where they'll put you in a hotel. So you want to maximize that time in between your treatment, in between when you left and you have to do
Mm-hmm.
treatment again. And something we do, and I don't know if everybody has the availability to do this. I have someone make a sack for us. And if you don't know what a sack is, it's for the pure flow. It's our dialysate. I have someone make that sack while we're gone. And I have a
So it's ready
combo
when you
to
get
the
Get you
back.
back in and
yeah,
you're
if I
ready
had
to go.
Clever.
yeah, I have a combo for the door, and I can just call one of my parents or my daughter and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, run over and just hit the go button."
Nice.
He sets it all up to where all they do is just push the go button.
Awesome.
Yep,
That's
he's
actually
perfect.
really smart.
That is
Really,
Mhm.
really
awesome.
smart to do that. And that way, when you get home, it's done. Okay, I might steal that from you,
You have
Mike,
it.
as well. I mean, when I'm traveling alone, I can always have my husband do it. But it's great if you just set it up and then they just press the go button. Can I ask a question? Does it beep? I'm just wondering, does it beep if you have it all set up and you haven't pressed the go button? I can't even remember. Does it beep? I don't know.
Michael, does it beep? Maybe he can't jump on. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Oh,
He
I
gets
don't
it
think it
right to
should.
the
It should just be right.
yeah.
Check your core
no,
means, right?
he was muted,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, what I do is when I'm leaving, I know I'm gonna drain that. So as I'm taking that sack out, I will actually load another sack without hitting anything. I'll get it all set up. I
Oh.
have everything. I do the green plungers. I do the connections. That way, when I call my daughter or I call my dad or I call whoever, they go in the house, and sometimes I put them on video call because there's been times where my daughter's had to do it, and I'll put them on video and say, okay, hit the green button. It'll say, make your connection. It's already connected, so just hit that green button again. Then it'll say, push the plungers or whatever. Just hit that green button again. And as long as it's doing the countdown, I will sometimes I have OCD, so I will have my daughter take a picture of it saying chloramine ready. Because like we just got back from Boston and we did treatment last night, so I needed to make sure I had a sack. I could have hang bags, but I wanted to make sure I had a sack. It's easier for us. And I messaged my daughter probably a good 25 times to where she sent me a message. Dad, it's good. Don't worry. I'm like, I am gonna worry, but it's my OCD. So yes, that's how I do it. Is when I take out the old sack, I will actually load the new sack in its place, and it just makes it easier.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that
Hey,
might be a little off-label thing. Just saying. By the way, Rashonda, your name is Vanessa, so we might have
Wait,
to change
I
you.
think I can fix that.
Okay.
Let's see. There we go.
Glad you could join us.
I could be a Vanessa today.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
we
We
all
look so
were.
much
All
alike.
were.
We each got to take turns being Vanessa.
I don't know why my name's
Rashonda,
coming up as everybody, but that's okay.
it's so great to see you. Um, I am going to ask you the same couple of questions that we started off with for everybody else, which is, what was the first trip that you took on any form of home dialysis, and
Mhm.
how did it go? And what did you learn?
Okay, so I did, of course, as most know, I've done PD and HHD or peritoneal dialysis and home hemodialysis. And my first trip with both of my machines was very interesting, but I went to the same place with both. My first trip with my PD machine was to the Cape, which is only about an hour away from me.
You really
So
are, Vanessa.
That's what she really is. I said the same thing, Rashonda.
yeah, so I'm like, it's only about an hour away, but it's like the place to go, right? Like that's the closest place that I could think of that I could go where if something happened, I would be close enough to my house that I
Mm-hmm.
could go and get what I needed if I needed it. And when I went with PD, it was relatively easy. I did manuals when I went the first time, so I didn't take my machine. I wanted to see how that would be to travel without the machine. So I just did manuals and I took my supplies with me. And that honestly went without a hitch. It was great. When I actually decided to travel with my home hemo machine, I also went to the Cape. And this time I had to take my machine. So I had more things to bring with me. And I wasn't doing a actual like travel setup in the sense of I needed to have supplies delivered because it was so close. I was just bringing everything with me. I thought I did the best job ever, right? I thought I had everything. I checked it off. I packed everything up. I get to the hotel, I'm setting things up, and I go to set up my machine, and I had no freaking cartridge.
Oops.
All I could do was laugh because I was
Oh
just like,
gosh.
everything that I was doing, steps, check in, all the things, and I didn't have a cartridge. So I ended up calling home and I called my boyfriend. I was like, babe, I left the cartridges. I was like, can you meet me halfway? So we met each other
This is
about
so
30
home
minutes.
dialysis.
He brought me
Yep.
cartridges so that I
Yep.
could do my treatment. That was the last time that I ever forgot.
I
And
was gonna say, yeah, each thing you forget is one you're probably never gonna forget again. But instead, you can make a different mistake.
yes, I never forgot it
Oops,
again. And at
forgot the
this point,
machine entirely, but I
well,
have
at that
cartridges.
point, if you have OCD, your OCD is on 1,000. Because now you're like, you done
Yep.
triple checked your triple check. So yeah, it becomes a thing.
Yeah,
And
OCD, I think.
like Shonda was saying, when she did manuals, we traveled quite a few times doing manuals, and you have not lived until you've had to cuddle up with a dialysate bag to get it up to temperature. So when we go camping, we actually have all of the kids that are actually cuddling up with the bag because we know
Oh.
Christina's going to have to do a treatment. So yeah, you haven't lived till you cuddled with a dialysate bag.
Some people put those in the dashboard of a car. So if it's sunny out, that will warm them up
I
pretty
had a
well.
patient use the saddlebags on his motorcycle, and he would just arrange his PD bags in such a way that the bike warmed the bags.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just used the heating pad. Like we had the old school roll it out heating pad. So
Mhm.
yeah, so that's what I use. But yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when people forget things, and it's better if these are non-prescription things. You know, if you
Right.
forget a
Right.
saline bag or you forget a power cord or a scissors or whatever. Depending on where people are, they can message one of the Facebook groups. And I've seen this work
Yes.
in the PD group and also in our Home Dialysis Central group, where people will be like, oh, yeah, I'm just 10 minutes away. I'll bring you one.
Yeah.
You can come
Yep.
here and pick one up. And,
Yep.
you know, sometimes that works.
Right.
That is not supposed to happen with prescription products.
Right. Right.
And so it definitely doesn't ever.
And like Christina said, there was a time that she forgot the power cord. And in fact,
Mhm.
a week and a half ago, there was somebody on our group that forgot their power cord. And I was actually able to call someone that I knew lived by them and they
Oh,
were actually able to share a
nice.
cord instead of having it in the trip. So there are
Well,
all avenues that you can do,
there's
and
no
reach out to
Radio
your nurse
Shack.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
There's no
for sure.
Radio Shack anymore. You used to be able to just walk in and say, "All right, I need this kind of power cord," and they'd be like, "Oh, it's right there," and they're gone. So I don't know what people do now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they are kind of standard power cords, but
Yeah, that three prong. I mean, I think it's
right.
more of like a washing machine setup than, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
than your average appliance, your average plug. But yeah, I have extra ones now because every time you do a
I
swap,
I was
they
gonna
send one.
say that it makes sense to have extras of some. I mean, like I have a cosmetic bag that I'm not on dialysis, but that I take with me when I travel, and it has duplicates of everything. So
Yeah, so
I
that's
don't
how
have
I
to
do.
I don't have to remember to put my toothbrush or my toothpaste in there. Those are already in there, and I have one in my bathroom. So some things, if they're not too difficult to get a hold of, if you can leave it in the case for the machine, then you know you have it.
Yeah, so
Unless it
my
left in the
Persistently
last
orders.
hotel room, in which
So
case you
I
don't have it.
definitely have a go bag. I tell people like I've
Hmm.
been on dialysis over a little over 10 years now, and there's been enough swaps and enough things that I have extras of
Sure.
things of items that I can leave in this bag and I don't have
Hmm.
to take, you know what I mean? I don't have to take them out. And power
Yeah.
cords are definitely on that list.
And
That's one of the things that I have extras of. So yeah, I set up a bag that is always kind of ready to go, if you will. Kind of similar to like your cosmetics bag that I have
Right.
all of those things already in.
and
Yeah.
And
if you
and that's
if you
really good
actually
advice. That's really good advice for natural disasters as well. We never know when
that's
that's
what
going to
I was gonna
happen.
say.
So always have something ready. That way you're grabbing it and you're going out. Christina, anything else?
No, I was just gonna say, even if you aren't traveling, that go bag, something where you have 10, 15 minutes, you got to get out of your house, whatever you can have packed for dialysis, have it packed just in case.
Hmm. Well, and in that case, it's helpful to have your medications list, your clinic and doctor contact information, your insurance card, a Xerox of that, all the stuff they're going to want anywhere you go for care.
Yeah, I bring that stuff. Like I have the emergency contact list, the disaster list. I also always let my center know where I'm going, and then I ask them for the closest location near me.
Hmm.
If they have a home department, I like to know. And then if I'm depending on how long I'm going to be gone, I will get a contact because emergencies happen, and depending
Yep.
on where you are, it always feels better to kind of know that someone knows you're there.
Hmm.
So you can also ask for that if it really gives you a little bit more comfort. I find that when you travel for the first time, of course, going as close as possible makes sense before you go and jet set across the U.S.
Yeah, or
I always
outside the US. I haven't
yeah,
gone
or even
anywhere,
outside. Yeah.
but Paris is definitely my first choice.
Yeah, so it's like I always tell people, go as close as possible first and check that off. And then, travel around the country once, and then you can go ahead and jet set across out of the US. Go in the
Hmm.
US for a little bit and get really comfortable at what you're doing, but it's worth doing it. Like don't not travel because of dialysis, like that should not hold you back. Do it, go and do it and actually enjoy the life and enjoy the scenery. Like I love, and most of you guys know Don and Jimmy, like
Yes.
living through Don and Jimmy, like being
Yep.
on the road and just watching them pull up to a beach or pull up to the mountains. Like come on, like seriously, like those are the things that we need to keep doing. So yeah, travel.
Just driving that massive RV, I'm so impressed. Even without dialysis, it's just
I know,
like a
seriously.
bus. The thing
It
is
is
I'll,
giant.
too.
I'll say
So,
too that when you're doing dialysis, you're doing all of this stuff, live life to the fullest. What's the
right?
point of doing all this if you're not going to be out living, thriving? Christina, she's a good example of we jet set all over the place, and we're just having the time of our lives as much as we can.
Well, the flexibility of home, I think for travel is even more important if there is some sort of a family event or even a family emergency or a funeral or, somewhere where it's one day, you don't necessarily get to pick when it is, and
Hmm.
you've got to go from here to there fairly quickly. That can be very challenging, if not impossible, to do within center. So,
I've talked to a lot of patients, and a lot of them will say, oh, well, I can't fly back home to see my kids. I'm never going to see them again. And it's
right.
like, whoa, whoa, like that is a priority. Those kids are your priority. Like, let's get you traveling, you know? And so those
Yeah.
things, those important things in life, like this comes in handy. And if your kids are in another country, you go see them.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I know somebody who missed, I think, both of her parents' funerals
Oh,
because
so
she was
sad.
in center at the time and the clinics just could not get transient dialysis set up quickly enough. You
Yeah.
don't get a lot of advanced warning of a funeral. If there's a graduation, you probably can get that day months in advance and you can plan. But some things you can't plan for.
That's true.
Somebody has a car accident or, whatever, and you need to be somewhere quickly. Home is really the only way to get that flexibility on
Michael and
short
I
notice.
Michael and I found out last night when we got back from our trip that his grandmother passed away. And
Oh,
Oh,
I'm so
so
sorry.
we are exactly there where now it's like we both want to go down there to Texas to say
Right.
goodbye. And so I can easily decide, hey, do we just red eye it and red eye back, not bring the machine, or do we just go take our leisurely time, and take the machine and be at
Mm-hmm.
the funeral? So
Right. Right. Well, and then you get to see the rest of the family and share stories about grandma, and that's just not a thing you want to miss.
mm,
right. Yeah, I know for me, the traveling became really important when my daughter went to college. So I know
Right.
Vanessa just sent one of her
Yep.
children off to college. And we know that when you're sending them off, depending on how far away that they're going, they can have emergencies. They
Yep.
could need you, and their expectation is that you be there.
Mm-hmm.
And we dropped her off, so we drove down. I was able to bring my machine with me to Virginia, and stayed a few days while we got her set up. But over the years of her being there, I would say the first 6 months, oh my goodness, that child was like, can't you just come back? Can't
Oh,
you
Can you do
just
my
come
laundry,
visit?
please?
Yeah, can you
aw.
just come visit, And it was like, okay, I'm gonna come again. Like, let me call you back. And it was like, all right, I gotta take my machine. I need to go see my daughter for a little bit. So, I was able to do that, and that was only because of home dialysis and being able to pack it up and flip my life around, not skipping treatment, and bring my machine with me
Did you fly
wherever
for
I
that?
needed to go.
Did you fly for those trips?
I drove. I
You
drove for
drove.
those trips. Yeah,
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 I was
yeah,
all right. You almost could take the train
yeah.
from,
You could do either. You could do
yeah.
either one. But yeah, I would drive for those trips. I've only flown down there one time, but everything else was driving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh, that's so nice you got to see you though.
oh yeah,
Christina,
absolutely.
Christina, tell them about the wedding that you missed.
Mhm.
Oh, so this is when I was in center dialysis. My little sister was getting married in Washington State, and so I would not miss it for anything. And so we scheduled to do dialysis in Washington State. And so I showed up to that dialysis center, and I walked in and I said, "Hey, I'm Christina Gilchrist. I'm here for my appointment." And the lady says to me, she goes, "We don't know if we're going to be able to fit you in." And she says, "Why don't you just go down the strip and get a drink at the coffee shop and we'll let you know." Which, one, like, if you're not going to fit me in, don't tell
That's
me to go get liquid.
inappropriate.
I know. I was kind of like, do you know what we're doing here? But the thing is they eventually told me they did not have time for me. So I ended
Um,
up doing dialysis the next day during my sister's wedding.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. Yeah,
Yep.
that stinks.
Oof.
Yeah. And now since having my own machine, I can coordinate it however I want. I don't have to fit into anybody else's schedule. I just have to fit into
Exactly.
mine.
That's it.
Mhm.
And
That
that's
is it.
maybe the biggest benefit of all.
Yeah, I think everybody has that story if you've ever traveled as a home patient and tried to go in center at least the one time. I know I did. And it was the last time that I tried because I realized that I could not enjoy my vacation the way I had planned because you don't get a chair time, right? So they kind of give it to you as they come up.
Oh,
And
or
I
they
went on
commandeer your
vacation.
whole day because you
Yeah,
can't
it was,
plan.
and they do a 4 hour, right? So I'm doing a 4 hour treatment. And the place that I went to, for some people, it probably would have been great because it was in the evening, but I could not believe I was spending my night doing this dialysis treatment away from everybody. Where at
Right.
home, if I was doing it, I would be sitting amongst everybody and doing it. And they wanted me to come, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night. And I
Wow.
had to stay there for 4 hours. And the closest center was an hour away.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah,
that kind of
That's
messed
half
up
your
that
day. That's
day.
your whole evening.
it
Well,
was
yeah, that messes up the
awesome.
next
Terrible.
day too, because by the
Yeah,
time you got back to where you were staying at 1 a.m., it can
right.
tell for your brain to
It
let you
was
sleep.
awful. And I was like, never again, never again. I will
Yeah,
bring my
you
machine
are.
with me everywhere I go. And I have ever since.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Christina, do you usually travel with your you have a dog named Moose, your
Yeah,
service
yeah.
dog. So Moose goes with you. Does that add any layers of complexity to the travel
Well,
planning or the
yes, it puts a lot more stress onto me because taking him, Moose himself was a difficult service dog because he's beautiful. And
Mhm.
everywhere
oh,
we
everybody
went,
wants to pet him.
everybody wants to pet him. They want to know what
Oh,
kind of breed he is. They want to know where I got him. And so I'm trying to give him treats, keep him behaving with people walking up all the time. And so, yeah, it definitely, and that's when me and Mike kind of learned we need to duel out who has what task. And if I'm trying to do the same thing he's doing, we're not accomplishing anything. We're just
right.
stepping on each other's toes. And so we've now decided when we go into an airport, Mike manages all of the machine stuff. He's the one who deals with all the medical. I deal with the rest. I deal with maybe our bags, the dog, all of those things that are honestly not as important as the medical stuff, but just as important in their own way.
Is
Mhm.
Moose a good traveler too?
So Moose is a champion. I tell you what, I'm gonna actually have to show him now because he is
Yes.
right here. Lucy,
Oh, look at that. Oh, he's beautiful.
hi.
Oh
Yes, but
my gosh, he's so
the fun
cute.
thing, I actually retired Moose. And
Oh,
because of doing nocturnal, I
uh,
have had the benefit of my vision improving a
right.
little. And so I had to go and I had to get him a little best friend. So we'll show you Miss Khaleesi.
Oh,
Khaleesi, say hi, baby.
oh, are they Pomskis?
Yes, they're Pomskis. That's why everyone asks. Yes, they're Pomeranian Huskies,
They are the cutest dogs ever.
right? And so
Oh my God,
when
their
I took him with
faces.
me, when I would take him with me, everyone would just we would have groups at times like, "Oh my gosh, that dog." And
I
so
know.
it
I would
definitely
like to come
plan
over to your
ahead.
house and hug each dog.
You're welcome. Come
I
on
find it
over.
very difficult in public to not hug the service
I
dogs.
know.
It's really hard, you
Jen,
guys.
you
I mean,
look
I
like
do a
you
good
were
job.
losing it. Jen, you didn't look like you were gonna make it.
I love animals. Like they're so cute.
We have pretty much reached our time.
Mhm.
So I want to thank Michael and Christina and Roshanda and Vanessa, who was here but isn't here now, and Fresenius for supporting this webinar. There were a lot of good tips, and there were some new ones that I know I had never heard before. So, we appreciate those and the enthusiasm for the flexibility of travel and living your best life. So,
Absolutely.
Yep,
thank
yep.
you all. If you have
That's what we're living for. I have a little motto that I live by, and I don't live to do dialysis. I do dialysis to live, and
Mhm.
traveling is part of that, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I second that with Christina. You know, I'm all about living your life to the fullest and not waiting, right? Like, just go ahead and take the trip. I always tell people, take the trip, say the thing, do the thing. Like, you have to. Like, what are we waiting for, right? Like, absolutely,
And
nothing is ever going to be perfect, and you just need to go ahead and do it now. I am making sure that I live my life without regret, right? Like, that's the biggest thing is don't regret the thing you didn't do, and traveling should not be on that list. So I hope that this encourages someone out there to go ahead and take the daggone trip.
And
Excellent.
Yeah.
honestly, like you will make mistakes, but those mistakes will be good. You will learn from them every time, and
You
you
will
will
make
get better.
different mistakes the next
Yes.
time. It's
Yeah.
progress.
So I'll also say that Christina, she looks cute and innocent, but she's stubborn as hell. So we kind of have a saying, don't tell us we can't, show us how we can, because she's
Yeah.
going to end up doing it anyways.
Right.
So there is absolutely nothing that you can't do while you're on medical. You just have to find a way and find someone to support you to do.
Yeah. Planning and giving yourself time. That's really the
Mhm.
biggest things, right? Like
Yeah.
giving yourself enough time so that you can enjoy it.
Well,
That
and
is the thing.
planning is actually part of the fun. You get more
It
out of
is.
the trip because then you get the fun of planning it and then actually executing your plan. So,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
True. Do it. It's worth it.
All
Yep.
right, Jen, did you have any last words of wisdom you wanted to add?
I like thinking about the idea of soft planning because that's something I struggle with in my own. I have an autoimmune disease. I run very low on energy sometimes. I hit the energy wall and then can't move. And I am guilty of trying to do all of the things, even when I know I'm going to hit the energy wall. And sometimes having a little bit of a soft plan and some kindness for yourself can help you save a lot of spoons. And I really like framing it that way.
One other thing that I have to tell you guys that we do is wherever we go, no matter what, we have a day to travel there and a day to travel
Yes.
home. We do not make plans on those days. If things change, if you get delays, make sure, and that's for your health, guys. We do have to admit we are sick people, and so we don't have the energy as everyone else. Give yourself a day to get there and a day to get home so you can be kind to yourself, and your health will thank you.
Yes, it will.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you again, everybody. I'm sure we will see you again, and we always enjoy talking with you. And have a wonderful rest of your day.